Welcome to Leveraging the Power of ZoomProspector.com. Every economic developer in the U.S. has heard about ZoomProspector.com, the largest free national website for corporate real estate professionals and site location experts seeking the right location for their business. However, not everyone knows how to leverage the website to foster maximum economic investment in their communities. This webinar will teach you strategies to elevate your community's positioning and promote your organization on the website, including a new free service integrated with social media. Anatolia Ubalde is CEO of GIS Planning Inc., an economic development internet service company, and ZoomProspector.com, an online site selection and business intelligence service. Mr. Ubalde works with organizations throughout the nation to foster enhanced economic development using internet technology. His company's strategies are implemented across the nation, serving over 11,500 cities and the majority of the 100 largest cities in the USA, as well as numerous states and small communities. His work has been featured in the Wall Street Journal, Businessweek, Inc., Forbes, Fortune, and the New York Times. He was recently named a fellow member of the International Economic Development Council for achieving exceptional stature in the field of economic development. Mr. Ubalde is co-author of the book Economic Development Marketing, Present and Future. He frequently advises about the use of internet, marketing, and GIS for economic development at national and international conferences, making presentations throughout North America, Europe, and Asia. Before GIS planning, he worked for years in local economic development. He has a master's degree in city planning from UC Berkeley. I will now hand it over to Mr. Ubalde for his presentation, Leveraging the Power of ZoomProspector.com.
So the 7 things that you'll learn today include, first, how businesses are searching on the internet, how you can be discovered by businesses looking for a community like yours. We'll then do a demonstration of ZoomProspector.com, identify how to get to the top of the site selection search, discuss a new paradigm for working with businesses, how to leverage your existing social media, and finally, the power of networks. So the main concept of Zoom Prospector is that every business decides where to locate. There's no business that doesn't make this decision, and Zoom Prospector helps businesses find the best locations. We're really interested in identifying how businesses and site selectors and corporate real estate professionals were making decisions and are making decisions and doing their research about locations. And so there was a detailed analysis done in the book Economic Development Marketing, which came out recently. We look specifically at the issue of timing of when contacts made by site selectors of websites versus personal contact. And what we discovered is that by and large, the vast majority of contact that corporate real estate professionals are making when they're researching communities is with the economic developer's website before they make personal contact. As you can see at these different phases of site selection, up to the point where they've already narrowed down to a short list of a few finalists, most of the contact is made with a website. And then after the short list, they're making personal contact with economic development professionals. So what this also means is that communities are getting eliminated before they were even knowing that they were in contention for a project. So if we look at that graphically, the blue line shows when they contact a staff person, and red is when they contact or visit your website if you're an economic developer. And the difference between these two spaces can provide you 150% advantage. Another way to look at that is that you're losing 43% of your contact by not providing businesses the information they need when they're evaluating both the long list and the short list eventually of locations. Each year there are 750,000 businesses that need new facilities. This is much larger than people in economic development traditionally have thought. They've thought that maybe there's about 1,500 or so projects. But in fact, looking at federal data, there's 750,000 that need them each year. And you may be saying, well, this is a recession. I'll be talking about the issues of a recession later and how that impacts site location. So the challenge that these businesses are having as they're deciding where to locate is it's difficult for them to find, compare, and then deeply analyze communities. Of course, the old saying is location, 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 and that's because when businesses put themselves in the wrong location, it can be disastrous. Another challenge they have is that it's hard to find data, it's complicated to analyze, and it's difficult to understand this, especially for less sophisticated businesses. So we're saying you can get rid of that model and find a new way so that businesses can accurately make informed decisions based on data from all over. If you combine geography with property, community, and search, businesses can now find the right location. The old way, of course, is that they didn't have information, so they had to just make decisions based on their gut. But now these businesses can make decisions with business intelligence. You've probably seen many magazines that talk about, in this case, Forbes with the 10 hottest cities for business, or Kiplinger's the best cities. But I really challenge that idea. I don't think that it makes sense because I always wonder, well, the best cities for who? How is it possible that some list can know the best cities for all businesses? In fact, I think that there are over 35,000 best cities for business. And those are the cities that are the best for the unique business. Each one of you has businesses in your community, and those businesses are successful, and they are successful because they are in your community. There are other businesses that can be successful in your community, and so this whole concept that is the perfect 10 cities is nonsense. What Zoom Prospector does is it breaks through that type of thinking so that you can really find the best places. The way I liken it to is that economic developers are very much like out-of-work actors in Hollywood. They may have fantastic skills, they may be the next superstar, it's just they haven't been discovered yet. Your communities haven't been discovered yet. So Zoom Prospector is a way for businesses to find your community. There's some conversations that are going on, and this is probably a conversation that's happening in the communities that you serve, where people are saying, I want more jobs, or City Hall says we need more tax revenue, or someone's saying I need a better paying job, or businesses are saying we need more customers. But in general, what they're all saying is, how do we find the businesses that can solve our problems? There's a second conversation that's happening that businesses are having. And they're saying we need better employees, we want more revenue growth, we want better access to markets, and we need to be near the right businesses. In general, what they're all saying is, how do we find the communities that can solve these problems? So there's these two conversations going on, but the problem is that there is a barrier for these communities to connect with the businesses and the businesses to find the right communities. The idea behind Zoom Prospector is that it matches the communities and businesses. And when it finds the right match, that's good for the community, but it's also terrific for the business's bottom line. The economics is great for both places when business is in the right location. So what I'd like to do now is take you directly into a demonstration of ZoomProspector.com, which is a website you can access yourself. So let's start here with option 2, where we just use a wizard. Let's say we're looking for a community of about 150,000 in population. It's very important. We want a fast-growing community in terms of employment. We're going to hire many graduates, so we say that's very important. We're not going to hire too many high school employees, so put that a little bit less focus. We want a combination of blue and white collar employees. And we're willing to pay a little bit more for higher quality, but that's not as important. Commute time, we don't want tired employees coming in who've been on the road too long. And for our sales team who has to travel a lot, it's very important we're near an airport. It'd be nice if we could be in an innovative area, but it's not that important. So what are the places that match? This map actually shows us those locations. You can see the matched rank in a heat map. The more red it is, the better a match it is. So down below you can see again some of these communities that are matches. Let's look at one. So the best rank was Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm going to click on that, and I can have a connection to the North Carolina Department of Commerce. I'll explain how you can put your information on Zoom Prospector later. Here we can see in North Carolina there's over 600,000 people, 38% with bachelor's degrees, a high level of young and educated people. I can see information about patents, that there were 70 million in venture capital invested, issues related to the household income, home values, commute time, and so on. And even that there's an enterprise community. Now we can look at demographics as numbers, but there's another way we can look at them. We can look at them spatially. So here this is using a heat map, and you can see red is the highest concentration. That was population. Now we're looking at bachelor's degrees, which changes the map. We can see where there's the highest concentration of business establishments, median household income, sole proprietors, and even startups. And you can see the legend tells you what that is. So that's two ways of looking at the business and demographics of Charlotte. Now let's do another type of search. So in this case, we'll find a place that's similar. So maybe a business is in one area, and they want to know places like it. We'll look in the case of communities similar to Louisville, Kentucky. We'll say having a population size, job growth rate, bachelor's degrees, these are all important to us. Blue and white collar workers doesn't matter that much to us. Patents, somewhat. Household income, not as much. Commute travel time is important to us. Airport proximity is very important. We'll decrease household expenditures, home values. They're not as important to us. We'll increase small business. We don't care about venture capital or median age. Distance to the interstate is very important, but distance to rail, not important. What are the places that are similar to Louisville? This is a great tool as an economic developer also to see what communities you're really competing against. So we see a matched rank. This is a ranked list of what are the most similar communities based on the parameters we put in for Louisville. Of course, Louisville's 100%. But here we can look at Buffalo, and we can see the demographics and its similarity to Louisville. Now we'll do another search. And we'll do a power search. If we wanted to look through, select a specific state, we could do that, but I won't. So we're looking for a community with a minimum of 25,000 people. Let's say 35% bachelor's degrees, 46% high school education, white collar workers at least 31%, and young and educated, basically meaning young college graduates, 3%. And we want to be within, an hour's drive of a university, someplace with 5 patents, household income of 75,000 or less, because we don't want to pay too much as a business for employees. Home values of less than 450,000. And again, we don't want tired workers, so less than a 30-minute commute. And we need to be within an hour's drive of an airport and 10 miles of an interstate. What are the places that are perfect matches? So here, down below, you can see there were 62 cities that were perfect matches. Places like Bloomington, Minnesota, Huntsville, Alabama, Norman, Oklahoma. So let's select Boise City. We can link through to Boise City or Idaho Department of Commerce. We can also see the demographics, as I showed you in the other examples, of what makes up Boise City. So now let's search for properties. If you wanted to search for properties by the map, of course, you could just click on it and find some properties available, in this case, Florida. But let's do a more powerful search where we search for both properties, let's say between 10,000 and 15,000 square feet. So we know what type of property we're looking for, but we can also put in community characteristics. So we can find a property in a community that matches what we need. Let's say 300,000 people, a bachelor's degree of at least 25%, high school degrees of, let's push it up a little higher, 84%, white collar workers, 60%, and an even higher level of young and educated. And we actually want a university right in the community. And we're willing to pay less for a typical, worker. We'll limit it to a household income of 50,000 and a very short commute time. Let's say 20 minutes. What are the places that have properties in the communities that we're looking for that match our need? We can see here places like, looks like Minneapolis, Tucson, and Oklahoma City. And these are all properties that match. So let's look at one of these. This is 120 North Robinson Avenue in Oklahoma City. So there's details about the property. We can see that the property was provided by the Greater Oklahoma City Chamber, information about the building, and even the listing agent. So that's some interesting information, but let's dive deeper and find out more information about that property. So when I click there, I'm linking to one of the websites that's part of the Zoom Prospector Network. This is the Oklahoma City Chamber's website, and I can get detailed information about this property. I can even take a bit of a tour around the area by using Street View. So down below you can see this is an interactive way of taking a tour and walking, or I should guess driving down the street of where that property is. And that allows me to look around. I can see what the area is like. I can see the buildings around there. I can even see where I can access the building. Depending on the type of business, this is going to be very important. Now I'm going to do another type of report, a site-specific demographic report. Instead of just looking at it for the community, I'm going to see what it's like for this unique location. In this case, we'll look at business and workforce. 20 minutes around 120 North Robinson Avenue. So you can see on the map where 120 North Robinson Avenue is, and then that red line which crosses multiple county borders is what 20 minutes market is. You can see a lot of small businesses. You can see the businesses by establishment type, both the number and also the number of employees. So you can see if there's a lot of big businesses or if there are a lot of small businesses. We can see, for example, banks and financial institutions. And we can see the employees by occupation. You're going to hire people if you're a business at many different levels, from executives to administrative staff. Let's figure out what the businesses are like around this business location, 2 miles around it. So here we're mapping the businesses by color coding. You can see finance and insurance, educational services, retail, trade. There's 85 businesses and 2.9% of those are in finance and insurance. Here you see them and their names, where they're clustered. I click there for American Fidelity, and you can see that it is not very close to the location where we're considering. We can also turn on local layers of information such as zoning or an enterprise zone. So this is the local data that's available through the Greater Oklahoma City Chamber of Commerce. And now we're back on zoomprospector.com. So I'm going to go back to find communities, and if you know the name, you should try this with your own community. You can just type in the name. I typed in Waco, and there's many different Wacos, but the one I'm looking for is Waco, Texas. And on this, I can search for properties in Waco, but I want to show you how you can integrate the data, the geographic data that's available from your local community, and put it on this national website of zoomprospector.com. Here you're seeing the foreign trade zones. Now I'm going to turn on the public improvement districts, which you can see is in the downtown area. And now I'll turn on the zoning. So all of your local data now becomes available on Zoom Prospector. In this case, this is where the flood area is, where the community block area is, or even the traffic counts. So if I'm a distribution center, obviously I want to be in an area with not too much traffic. You can even see, as we zoomed in, we can see the location of the parcels. So this is information that is possible to place over the map when the data is available through Zoom Prospector. And I'll talk a little bit more about how you can get your data into Zoom Prospector. Also, this is connected to be able to search for site selection experts. In this case, we'll say somebody has a specialty of site location in food processing. Where across the whole nation are people who have this expertise? You can see there are 30 folks, and in this case, Dean Foote is a person who we can send an email or even visit his website. So being able to search for site selectors is something that can be done on Zoom Prospector and that businesses can do. In this case, we'll search for energy. We can find a series of other site selection experts who have that expertise. They are also our partners with Zoom Prospector. You can see there are hundreds of them that are already participating and using zoomprospector.com. Another element of the website, which probably matters a lot to you, is how to search for economic developers. In this case, we'll search in Colorado, and we find some organizations. I'm going to click on Metro Denver. And Metro Denver has set up their own profile on zoomprospector.com, and you can too. This is available to you. In this case, you're seeing their Twitter feed streamed live through zoomprospector.com, but I can also link out to their Twitter page or their LinkedIn page for Metro Denver. I can also send them an email directly from zoomprospector.com or visit their website. And all of you listening, you can do this also. This is absolutely free. You can even put your YouTube videos. In this case, this is a news video of one of the staff at the Metro Chamber. And below there's text. You can put the text that helps describe your organization and your community in your own words. So this is a powerful way to aggregate and integrate all of the social media. If you already have a Twitter feed or Twitter account, you have a LinkedIn page, or you have YouTube videos, you can put all of this information right on zoomprospector.com. And it's free. It's available, and many economic developers have already done this. The corporate real estate professionals have been very positive about zoomprospector.com and what it's doing for them. They're using it, and they realize there's significant value. A key concept of why zoomprospector.com exists is that it's serving economic development professionals, site selection consultants, and corporate real estate professionals, and then new and expanding and relocating businesses. What has been a challenge, which is overcome through zoomprospector.com, is that with it you can make the connections that matter. Zoomprospector.com is a place that links economic development professionals with these expanding businesses and also connecting to the site selection consultants that can help in large projects. So I want to encourage you to leave the obsolete and join the network. The old way of doing things on the internet was, the idea of a standalone website. Like your website by itself was enough, but that doesn't work anymore. So if your organization is like many economic development organizations across the country, you have a limited staff. It's you, or there are a few economic developers in your organization, and you are chasing prospective businesses. But there's only so many of yous. No matter how good you are, there's only so much you can do, and there's only so many prospective business investors that you can reach. We said there's got to be a better way, and we can turn this on its head. Instead of having you chase the prospects, what if the prospects can chase you? And it doesn't have to follow the same type of metrics, because on the internet there can be an unlimited amount of businesses that can use zoomprospector.com and find your community if your community is a good match. So this provides a greater opportunity for you to be found by many more businesses than you could ever target on your own. So the old way has been replaced with a better way in which the businesses are chasing you, and you can work with the best businesses and the businesses that you want to work with. So when you think about search, there are many places you go to search, but you go to search in particular places for the things you need. So, for example, if you're looking for the right auction item, you're going to look on eBay, or the right relationship, eHarmony, or the right house, Realtor.com. And if you're looking for the right business community, you look on ZoomProspector.com. The whole concept is it's about businesses finding communities, your community. I also want to talk about the power of small businesses. Over the last 10 years, small businesses have created 83% of all net new jobs. So they're very important to any economic development organization that is focused on creating jobs. Looking at it another way, small businesses versus large businesses, over the last 5 years that we have data, in fact, small and medium-sized businesses have created 100% of net new jobs over those 5 years. And in the last recession of 2001, big businesses had 4 years of job losses, small businesses 1 year of job losses, and small businesses 0 years of job losses. Now, one of the problems and differences between big and small businesses is that small and medium-sized businesses represent 99.7% of all businesses, whereas big businesses, those with revenues of over $250 million a year, represent 0.3% of all businesses. However, when it comes for information, big businesses have all of the data and all of the resources, where small and medium-sized businesses have very little. So this is where they need the most help in making decisions about where they can grow their business and how they can grow them in your communities. What Google's done is they've really democratized access to information. And similarly, when it comes to data for small businesses about locations for business, Zoom Prospector does the same thing, so that now all businesses can do sophisticated site selection analysis to find your community. Now you may be thinking, well, it's a recession. Why should I focus on new and expanding businesses and entrepreneurs? Well, why now? Because it's a recession. If you look, this is data since 1989, and in red is the periods of the last 2 recessions. And in blue is when new companies were started. And as you can see, it's either during or directly after a recession that the greatest opportunity happens. So now that we are coming out of our current recession, this is your greatest opportunity. By acting now, you can make the most out of the trend where businesses grow after a recession. They start after a recession. In fact, in article in Business Week in November of 2009, they said 2010 and 2011 should be extremely good years for innovative small companies. We'll see dozens of very successful companies emerge. You need to position yourself so that you can maximize these businesses growing and starting in your communities. Now, Zoom Prospector has been in Business Week. It's also been in Forbes, Fortune, Inc., the New York Times, CFO, Entrepreneur, and a number of other magazines. You're welcome to read those articles on ZoomProspector.com. The business media sees the value of just how much ZoomProspector.com can transform this business decision making. Now let me explain to you, there are 3 ways for you to get value from ZoomProspector.com. The first is every city and county is already included in ZoomProspector.com. You and your community are already promoted every time you are a match. There's nothing you have to do to be part of it. You're already there. Your communities are listed. However, there are some ways that you can increase your value of Zoom Prospector, and that is by adding a community connection page. And that's what I showed you there, that page, in the case I showed for Metro Denver, where you put in more additional information about your community and put a link to your website. And you can describe it with text, with photos, and you can link to your social media. A way to get even more value is to add your properties, detailed demographic reports, business mapping, and local GIS layers. Now there's 2 types of search on Zoom Prospector. One is ranked search and the other is exact search. talk about these individually. I showed you both of them already. But to get to the top of the rank search results, you may be thinking, how can I cheat my way to the top? And I'll tell you, there is no way you can get or manipulate your way to get to the top of any of the ranked search results. So there's no special secret, and there's nothing you can do. Because to get to the top of the ranked search results, communities are shown only in the ranked order that is the best match. And we only provide accurately ranked search results. All of our analysis is objective. It only shows communities that are good or perfect matches. Now let me talk about the other type of search. The other type of search is an exact search. So as a business puts in some specific numbers, if they have a minimum threshold of the size of community or education levels or distance to freeway, we only deliver a perfect result, which is a 100% match. Now, in the case of a perfect match, there's likely to be many matches. And the way that it's ordered is all matching communities are listed. If there are 50 communities, all 50 are listed. If there are 500, they're all listed. However, the more information that we have about the community, the higher up it is put on the list results. So again, they're all perfect matches, but the ones that we have more information, we place earlier on the list. So to get to the top of the exact search results, there are two things you can do. The first thing is, for free, you can add a community connection page with the text, photos, and links to your social media. By doing that, ZoomProspector.com has more information about your community, so we show it before the communities that we have less information. Now you can get higher placement by subscribing and adding your properties, demographic reports, business data, and local map layers. That will get you an even higher placement on the exact search results. Another thing I'd like to share with you is about the Zoom Prospector partners, because these are partners that really matter for you as economic developers. And being part of this network matters. So the first I'll share with you is a historic partnership, and it's a partnership between ZoomProspector.com and the International Economic Development Council, the largest economic development member association around. And as part of this partnership, ZoomProspector.com is the official and exclusive IEDC partner for online property listings, demographics, and online mapping products and services. And economic developers across the United States are standardizing on and joining this network on Zoom Prospector. ZoomProspector.com is a network for economic developers to get found and for their communities to get found. ZoomProspector.com is also partnered with the leading site location media. This includes Site Selection Magazine, Business Facilities Magazine, and Business Expansion Journal. Each month there are advertisements. It actually comes to $500,000 in advertising campaign value promoting the website in the magazines every issue. This is an example of one of the advertisements that was run, and if you get any of these magazines, you're probably seeing these advertisements. Now this is the Business Facilities website, and ZoomProspector.com is integrated directly into the website. So anybody going to the Business Facilities website can use Zoom Prospector on their website. So when they click on Find Locations, it pulls up ZoomProspector.com, and then within ZoomProspector.com, the businesses can search, find matching communities. This is on Site Selection Magazine's website, and if they click on ZoomProspector.com, ZoomProspector.com opens directly within Site Selection Magazine's website. So wherever these businesses are searching through Site Selection Magazine, Business Facilities, or Business Expansion Journal, they're using Zoom Prospector. So if your community is on there, your properties are on there, your information is there, you can get discovered and you can get that business investment. Even Forbes has integrated Zoom Prospector's mapping technology within its website. So the goal is to get these businesses, corporate real estate professionals, and site selectors to your website and to contact you personally. What Zoom Prospector does is it provides another way for these businesses to go to one place and find information and again drive qualified leads, because the only way they're going to be contacting you from zoomprospector.com is if your community was already a good match. So instead of a random call, you're getting qualified business leads. That's the best kind you could have. So in addition to Zoom Prospector, we also have these partnerships with IEDC and the Site Location Magazine, Site Selection, Business Facilities, Business Expansion Journal, which drive even more qualified leads to your website and to you. And we're also using social media, which is connecting these businesses to your website and staff. If you have already made an investment in social media, you can take the social media that you've built and you can open up your free community connection page on zoomprospector.com. That way you can, we have demographics, but it doesn't necessarily tell the whole story of your community. So for example, San Antonio might want to highlight the qualities of Riverwalk. You can do that right now. You can go to zoomprospector.com and sign up for free. Our goal for you by leveraging the power of zoomprospector.com is you're going to be able to give yourself an extreme competitive advantage. Looking at the metrics that we have over the last over a year of having the website public, is that the organizations that have more information on the website get a lot more views, visits, and click-throughs. If you need help maximizing your value on zoomprospector.com, the first thing you can do is sign up for a free community connection page now. The next thing that you should do is subscribe to list your properties and detailed demographic and business data on the website, so there's more information that businesses need to evaluate your community. And if you need any help, just email info@zoomprospector.com. And when you do, you'll be immediately helped by a real person providing you assistance. Zoom Prospector is completely focused on businesses finding the right communities like yours. So at this point, I will open it up for questions. Okay, so as it was mentioned to you earlier, through the webinar tool on the right-hand side of the screen, you can ask any questions that you have. And we've received a number of them while I was making the presentation and demonstrating the website. We'll try to get to as many as we can. If we can't get to all of them during the live part of this webinar, then we will certainly, I will get back to you with the answers to your questions offline. The first question is, how do you market this website to site selectors and decision makers? The answer is, we've received an incredible amount of press coverage by the leading media outlets, including Businessweek, Forbes, Fortune, Inc. magazine, and the New York Times. In addition, we're partnered with the leading corporate site location magazines in the industry, including Site Selection, Business Facilities, and Business Expansion Journal, who are directly integrating zoomprospector.com into their own websites. That means that your community can be found by a target audience of approximately 40,000 prospects actively making or influencing the expansion and relocation decisions of companies across the world. The next question is, what kind of traffic do you get to this website? Well, we've increased by over 500% year over year from 2008 to 2009. And we're seeing a growing amount of traffic, especially due to our media coverage and partnerships with the leading site selection magazines. In fact, zoomprospector.com is increasingly showing up at the top of Google search results for many terms related to community demographics. Next question is, how do I change the information about my community in your website? Well, our community profiles are built using data that comes from national third-party data sources. By using third-party data, it allows for apples-to-apples comparisons to be made across communities. These comparisons are not possible when the data comes from many different local data sources. What you can do is, and I encourage you to do, is add as much information as you would like to provide data about your community in your free community connection page. This is the page that I showed you that you can sign up for, and you can put text, data, pictures, documents all on that website that shares information about the area that your organization serves. The next question is, our organization is just getting started on social media. How can I learn more about this new space? Well, social media marketing is an increasingly important component of economic development marketing. So please send an email to me or send an email to the email that's in front of you on the screen. And I'd be happy to send you a link to a free webinar explaining the importance of social media for economic developers. The next question is, how do I get the available properties in my communities listed on ZoomProspector.com? And the answer is, you can add your properties by subscribing to the service, which will allow us to develop a partnership with your organization to promote your available sites and buildings. In addition, through the subscription partnership, we'll also be able to provide businesses evaluating your community with interactive and location-specific demographic reports, mapping of businesses by industry, and local map layers. Just to send an email to info@zoomprospector.com, and you can get sent more information about how to subscribe. Next question is, we represent a regional economic development organization that serves a metro region. And we find that businesses are often more interested in getting information at that level than for cities and counties. How can they get this information on your website? That's a great question. We'll be adding metropolitan areas, also known as metropolitan statistical areas, to our search shortly. So that will be available soon. So that's all the time we have for the live part of the webinar questions. If you entered and typed in a question that I wasn't able to get to, I'll make sure that I get back to you about that offline. So with that, I'd like to thank everybody for their time. If you have any questions, feel free to send an email or reach out to us. Thank you so much.